Hello, Sunnyside. Just glad to see you here again. There are a few things that I do want you to know. This has really been, I'll say, a historical week that's passed, and I'd like to share some things with you. There were any number of funerals or deaths or services that were held this week. First of all, our own sister Barbra Jean Adams, her services were held this past Tuesday at Grace Memorial, the old Simpson mortuary there on Manchester Boulevard. I do feel that she would have, just loved the comments that were made, that she would have loved to see the show of affection, especially that was shown by her children toward one another. Again, beautiful service. If you didn't get a chance to attend and you'd like to see her program, I'd be more than willing to share it with you. But again, the services of our own Sister Barbra Jean Adams. And now I have a really good understanding as to why it was that she was so willing to forcefully sing on the fifth Sunday, on Women's Day. She was an active member of Cornerstone Church, Cornerstone Baptist Church, and the leader of that church was none other than Brother James Cleveland. So again, it's interesting how you go to people's services and you find out things that you wish you had known so that you could have just had a conversation with them while they were living. On Friday was the 12th anniversary of the death of Michael Jackson. That was most interesting. As I cut on the radio, and again, I tend to have my radio just locked on one channel, but they played his music the entire day long. And again, Michael Jackson was a writer, he was a singer, he was a dancer, truly an entertainer. Okay, one that is truly missed. Okay. Thursday, I found out that was the day that Paul Mooney was funeralized. Excuse me. Now, he was a phenomenal comedian, and he was an advisor, I guess just almost any and all black artists, whether you were an actor, whether you were a comedian, whether you were a singer. Again, Paul Mooney. And one of his sayings was, and I had that written out, and I bet I can't find it now. One of his sayings was, when you're in Hollywood and you think that you've made it, check yourself and make sure that you aren't suffering from the illusion of inclusion. But again, Paul Mooney, and as it is now, he has two adult twins, Daryl and Dwayne, who are going on tour, sharing some of his information, but their own original comic acts as well. But again, Paul Mooney, will truly be missed. And I understand at his service, it was just standing room only, and really for stars, not just for the average person, but again, for people who really have made it big in show business, who he had really served as an advisor to. Some 30 million people get until September 30th to apply for or to receive rent relief. I understand at the same time, if you've had difficulty essentially because of COVID-19 in paying your rent, note also that you should have at least paid 20% of your rent. So look into that, okay? But I understand that the deadline has been extended until September 30th for rent relief. Do be in prayer for those family members, for those who were present that were a part of the 12-story building collapse. The last thing I heard was that there were some 99 people still unaccounted for. It is in the news on a daily basis. Please just be aware, and let's just lift the families and those that were there. Please lift them up in prayer. This week, also, something else, and again, historical things are still happening. KBLA 1580 AM is the first black all-talk radio show that started here in Los Angeles. It is the first black talk radio show then that is west of the Mississippi. I'm not sure of any others that are on the other side of the Mississippi, but just be aware that I've been listening to that program this week, and it is of, for, and by the people. It is owned by Tavis Smiley. One of the places that I would tend to get much information for this Do Know segment was from Dominique DePrima. And as I was listening to her show several weeks ago, as she was closing out, she was saying, "I give you love," and was letting you know that was her last time on KJLH 102.3. But I had no idea as to where to go from there. And I picked up the wave, and I was so happy to see that Dominique DePrima is now on KBLA 1580 AM. Her time is from 6 until 9 a.m. So I don't have to get up from 4:30 to 6 to try and hear her, but she's at a more reasonable time for me. So I find myself again still leaving one radio on KGLH, okay, 102.3, and the other radio on KBLA 1580 because I don't want to miss anything, and I just really love both programs that are being offered at that time. So again, be aware of that. As I was listening to it this morning, Dr. Melina Abdullah, one of the founders of BLM, okay, Black Lives Matter, her program comes on Saturday mornings, and it's titled, "This Is Not a Drill." This is not a drill. I didn't know I was going to be taping this segment today, or I would have listened a lot more closely in order to give you specific information about SB 2, and would have been able to tell you who you need to contact. But there are any number of things that pertain to us in terms of our history that you can actually have a bearing on it if we will just contact our state officials. Okay, do know then that they are in positions in many instances because we actually took the time to vote. So do know the importance of your vote and actually following up and letting elected officials actually hear from you. Again, a historical week. Know that Derek Chauvin, the officer who actually killed George Floyd, will receive at least 22 and a half years for the murder of George Floyd. Again, continue paying attention, okay? Just know what's happening with that case. And again, just know that our history just continues. It's not necessarily what's happened in the past, but you need to be aware of what's going on an ongoing basis. Okay? Please do know that voter suppression is real. It is real. It's not a plaything. Very serious. There are some 40 plus states that are enacting laws that would limit your right to vote, your voting rights. Some of these laws have to do with illegally gerrymandering districts to silence minority voters. Some of them are closing polling places in non-white areas. Some areas are purging, getting rid of the voter rolls, taking people off if you haven't voted for, if you might have missed a time or two voting. They are blocking, trying to block vote by mail. In some instances, well, again, the whole discussion now about the post office really centers around the fact that they're trying to defund the post office so that the post office cannot get your ballots in on time. So just do know that voter suppression is really a part of our history. I find myself listening to what Stacey Abrams is saying, and I find myself writing down some of her comments. But again, it's a way of suppressing our votes. And I even wrote down that voter suppression laws are being passed in some 47 different states. To me, that's the same as telling us as a people to shut up and dribble. Okay? The way to combat and fight against these state laws is to pass federal legislation, okay, such as the John Lewis Voting Rights Act and the George Floyd Policing Act. Again, these acts will not be passed as long as there is an intense effort to suppress our votes. Note again, federal laws are the ones then that surpass, they carry more weight than a state law. So even though these state laws are going into effect, you want to make sure that you contact, okay, federal officials. So your congressmen, okay, your senators, okay, you want to make sure then that they do all that they can to pass laws then that's for our good. So be mindful that voter suppression is real and that there are tremendous efforts to make sure that your vote does not count. As I was looking at that Wave newspaper, the one that had Tavis Smiley on the front, okay, there was an article by E. Faye Williams, and she goes on to say that racist revisionists would have you believe that what we've seen, experienced, and know to be true didn't happen or was misunderstood. She goes on to tell you how innocent children will tell you things because they really don't know any better. But we're being told things now, and people clearly do know that it really is false, that it really is fake, that it's an out and out lie. And the thing that's surprising is that so many people in political office are buying it. Again, please do know that it is in your best interest for you to open your eyes and contact your elected officials and tell them to vote in favor of things that will benefit you. So such things as pass the For the People Act. It protects and expands your voting rights. It ends partisan gerrymandering. It curbs big money in politics because that's what you're really fighting against. That's exactly what you're fighting against. So on that note, please do your part. Know that COVID is still real. It's real. If you possibly can, please take advantage of getting the shots. On the other hand, talk with your doctor and do what is in your best interest.